All right, I'm back again because I just dumped the last cat box, which is only two, so the second cat box, however you want to call it. But anyway, I was talking on my video, or my glasses, video thing, and I was saying that. Hold on, I'll be right back. Hi guys. I love you. So I'm just cleaning up because my wife's mom and her sister are coming here today. We're gonna go pick them up in a little while in New Orleans. And anyway, and I don't want it to look too trashy. It wasn't trashy, but I had to dump the garbage and litter boxes and stuff, and lit some candles and stuff to make it smell pretty. Yeah. And this is Frank. Now, we bought this kind of a wooden urn. It just comes unscrewed right here, and his ashes are inside. Yeah, it's pretty. I can't even begin to tell you how bad that hurt. But, everybody has to go through that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's worse. So, sometimes you're losing a family, or God forbid, something more serious. Let me start the time again. Oh, shoot. Well, anyway, so the other day I covered some business stuff. I covered kind of some of the basic stuff of starting a business. Choosing a name, choosing the type of business, like whether it's a corporation or LLC or whatever. And I highly recommended an LLC. The only time you should ever start a corporation is when you've got some substantial financial backing and some really good understanding of what business really is. Some education in the area and stuff. And I made wise choices when I was younger and had no education in the area. I made decisions to, in one of my businesses was a single proprietor, which seemed normal at the time. It wasn't the best idea. I never ran into any problems with it. I was really lucky. But if you get sued as a single proprietor, the business can say lose everything in your business. But if the damages that was awarded against you was more than what the business was worth, then they could take my house, take my car, whatever I've got in savings. Or vice versa. If I was sued for who knows what, calling somebody a name or something, who knows what, and it gave them emotional trauma, that it was more, the judge gave them more in damages that I owned, they could actually still take my business. Well, so that's why you're not going to go with a corporation. You shouldn't go with a sole proprietorship. That's for people that just don't know a thing about business. And there's one other, and that's an LLC, and it's a limited liability company, and that's what I've always done, other than the first time. So I have two active businesses now. When I say active, I mean the paperwork's all filed with the state. I have insurance on one of them. neither one of them are actually functioning at the moment, so there's no reason to have insurance on them. But one of them, I was working on getting it functional, and I wanted to make sure and have insurance in case, because I thought it was entirely possible that I would have some type of sponsorship from like a larger company that would want me to sub for them and stuff like that. So I just wanted to be prepared. And the good news is, business insurance for liability's sake is not expensive. Paid it 6 months in advance, kind of a thing, and so it's still active. Even after I realized that I had to stop what I was doing and put it on pause and figure out a way to make money to be able to fund the marketing company that I've got to hire. So those are on pause, and most likely, and I'll keep them both going. Like you have to renew your business license, and stuff. You pay a fee. The government always wants their money, and it just keeps you on the books. It keeps your business name yours, kind of a thing. And there's, for one of them, there's no worry that it's somebody else gonna take the business name because it's too unique. But my main one, Sunshine Home Cleaners LLC, is registered in Oregon, and there was an old business that's no longer functioning that was called Sunshine Home Cleaning, and or Sunshine Cleaning or something like that. So it was close enough to where that it was like stepping on their toes. But when I chose the name Sunshine Home Cleaners, I actually put the S on the end because I wanted people to know from the get-go that it was a bigger company. It wasn't, because a lot of cleaning companies are one person, somebody's aunt, or whatever. They don't want to work where they were working anymore. Anybody can clean, so they put an ad up on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace, and they charge $24 an hour, which is, not much, but it's for one person. They go to your house for 2 or 3 hours and they clean it once a week or something like that. But that's most cleaning businesses. One of the reasons I chose cleaning, because I have zero experience in the cleaning business, and I never wanted to have any experience in the cleaning business, frankly. It was not some kind of dream job. But first off, anybody can afford mops, buckets, and stuff like that. The materials used in cleaning. And I have a good vacuum cleaner, and decided that would be the kind of vacuum cleaner I'd buy all the time from then on, for any of my cleaning crews. And the trick on buying the same model every time is that you also have to maintain some spare parts, like the belts and things like that. And if they're always the same model, the same parts will match up to them. I don't have to have a variety of parts, right? And every time we work on one of them, which is not very difficult to work on a vacuum cleaner, but every time we work on one of them, it becomes easier and easier and easier because it's always the same model we work on. So pretty simple. So the idea is when I named it Sunshine Home Cleaners, I wanted people to know that it's not just one person, that it's multiple people. And because with my belief is within the first 2 years, I'll probably have somewhere around 500 people working, which is awesome, and that's not a high goal. That's a middle road goal. Okay. Because my business is designed to expand rapidly. It's literally just duplication and duplication and duplication. And the way you achieve that in the very beginning is, for the first year, you charge as little as possible. And I mentioned this in 2 previous videos, just to get people interested in your what you do and how you do it. Because for me, a lot of what I'm doing isn't that I clean, because there's lots of cleaners. It's that we get in, we're fast. We send in 2 people at a time always. So we're faster than having some lady come into your house and just do her cleaning. She might be there for 3-4 hours. Some people don't want to have that much time taken up by the cleaner. They might be home, like a retired person. They might be home and they might want to go somewhere or something like that. They just don't want to have somebody in their house for 4 hours. When I send in 2 people, the it's done twice as fast, obviously, and there's a big problem in the industry of not just the industry, but like of if you live in an assisted living where that people come into your house to clean too. They're the cleaning crew that works there. Um, there's never ending amounts of people thinking that something got stolen because they've misplaced it. And they can in their mind they rationalize, well, this person was in my house, they were in my private space, and now I can't find my pearl necklace or whatever. And so that's legit. So what I'm going to have is always 2 people there, because having more than one person there cuts the odds on somebody being dishonest and you know having sticky fingers. It cuts that way down, because they don't want to steal in front of that other person. That other person could see them and then would get them in trouble. And even just the simple shame of it. You can get away with something by convincing yourself of something, but doing it in front of somebody else is a whole nother thing. That seems really shameful. So anyway, it really does help to have 2 people for that part of it. And then the other thing is, I want there to be 2 people because the 2 workers are safer that way. You never know whose house you're cleaning, really. Somebody has you come in and they could be weirdos. Who knows? I don't even like to think about that kind of stuff. But having 2 people there at a time is much, much safer for the workers. So it's a whole bunch of things all together. The first time somebody ever hires you, they've got to see your advertising, obviously. But once you've jumped that hurdle, then the very next thing is they want to schedule an appointment. And so they or even look at your website. So they look at your website, see your picture, your prices, and all that kind of stuff, and see what kind of times are available, and then they can schedule an appointment. So that company I'm hiring that does the marketing also does the scheduling. They have a really good piece of software for that, and so that after it's scheduled, the very next important hurdle for a business is that people show up on time. And that's another box that person's mentally checking. Oh, they were prompt. And when the people show up, not once they've done the work, but when they show up, when you've scheduled, most people have to pay when they schedule. That's how the business works. It's much, much easier than trying to track people down. I've had that problem before. And so when somebody schedules, they pay. Or when they show up, they pay. People don't start work until it's been done. So when they show up, whoever's in charge in the 2 people has a Square reader that they just put on their phone, and they can run their card, no problem, and it's been billed, it's been paid. Then they can start. And when they start, they're on a clock. Okay, it's not just to hurry and get done. It's you're trying to respect the person that you're doing the work for. You're trying to respect their time. And it's also keeps you from wandering off mentally while you're working. Okay, I don't want people to be working their fingers to the bones and treat it like a sprint or something like that. But it keeps you on task. It keeps you working. And by a certain time of the clean, depending on what you had done, you can kind of predict where you are in it. So then nothing's getting missed. Each person that's there will have a check sheet, a system designed to clean is my part of it. But they'll have a check sheet that they know that they didn't miss anything, And their check sheet might not be a sheet, it might be a tablet where every time they get done with something, they stop, mark it with the tablet, and then take a picture of it, That way later down the road, when one of our focuses for our clientele, one of them is going to be something that's different. We're going to advertise to people that are sort of taking care of their elderly mother or father, like in their elderly mother or father's home, right? My mom didn't want to move out of her house no matter what. At some point she had to be moved out of her house, but for the longest time she lived in her house. She wasn't able to clean, and she needed people there to do certain things. And this could be one of those things where that, you live states away and you're hiring somebody to clean your mom's apartment or house. and you want to make sure that she's living in a good conditions and amongst nice people, you know. And so when you get the receipt that it's been paid online and or emailed to you, you've got all these pictures of all the things that you said specifically that you wanted done. You wanted the dishes cleaned. You wanted the bathrooms cleaned. You wanted the house vacuumed. You wanted the dusting done. Every single one of those tasks will have a picture. And that way you can feel confident, and if your mom was there, you have a picture of her smiling, and it was a good day kind of a thing. And that would be good. But in some ways in this business, we're going to go the extra mile. And because the key is when you're finding a business to do and you begin it and stuff like that, you want to be a different kind of business. Whether it is maybe there's not enough contractors in your area, so you're filling that gap. And the good news is you have lots of work, because there's not enough contractors. Or there's lots of different people that will clean, but your mom speaks the most highly of my cleaners, kind of a thing. You see what I'm saying? And so if I'm doing something that makes a difference to somebody, people are more likely gonna stay with us and then even spread the word to their friends. And so other people are saying, oh man, I got to clean my mom's house, or I got to figure out how to get my mom's house clean. And they're like, well, if somebody does my mom's house, and you're like, oh really? How much is it? And that's the next key, really big deal. And that's something I am going to change the world. I'm going to do my little part of it. I mean, I'm not going to change the whole world, but I'm going to definitely do my part, which means it's not about the highest bidder. It's my dad used to say he thought business was determined by you raise the price until her forehead turns purple, and then you stop raising the price. And that's how it is now. That was a joke to him, back then. But people price things so high that people making a normal living, or God forbid retired, and they have a frozen income, which doesn't raise as much as it should. And they feel like they can't afford something like that. And so when you get to an age where you really can't do it yourself, you'll end up living dirty, and kind of unsafe in a way, because, that's why we clean our stuff, so it's safe. That's the first thing, and then we clean it so it's pleasant, and then we can be proud of it and stuff, and have people over to visit you and things like that, and not be embarrassed. Well, the most important thing to me is, at minimum, it's got to be affordable, and so I'm going to take a smaller profit margin, but I'm still going to I'm very specifically going to pay all my workers higher than the average scale for doing that job there. So if other people are making minimum wage doing that job, we definitely won't be doing that. People will be making at least $20 an hour, plus incentive bonuses for certain things like number of jobs in a day, kind of a thing. So if they're able to work good and not waste time and move on to the next job, and eventually that day they work one more job than they usually do, that job pays them a commission, where that they make a percentage of that job that normally would be paid to me, or go into bills or whatever. But on that job, they'll make a percentage of that job. So it's not only their normal paycheck, but it's also going to be this extra bump, which could be $25, it could be $50, but that's nice little surprise, $25 or $50, once or twice a week or something like that, to have as a bonus, pay for going out to lunch just for fun, who knows? But anyway, the idea is I want to make it I'm going to change the world in that I'm going to make something like that affordable. It's going to be a good quality program, and it's going to be affordable for people. And then the next part of me changing the world is it's going to be something that people can be proud of doing. You'll be able to get benefits, because that stuff is achievable if I, for me, just know how to go out there and shop the market and find medical benefits for people that I can afford to pay for, but at the same time, most importantly, covers everything they need to cover that a good job would have for them. And other things, college tuition incentives and things like that. If I can figure out a way, and I'm just getting creative there, if I can figure out a way, though, that I can put a little bit of money into a college fund and even talk to people about getting grants and stuff like that. There's a ton of people out there that want to find a good place to put their money. They don't need any more money. They've got plenty already. but they want to help people. If I can find those people and tell them, hey, here's what I do. It's called grant writing. Okay. Here's what I do. I've got these really good deserving people, and they could really use an education. Their kids could use an education, and then I'm going to advance them with that education into other things, or they could leave and do their own thing. And then they pay money into grants, rather than just, lots of people they know when they pass away, there's not going to be anybody to leave it to. And so they don't know what to do with it, and they would like to do something with it though. And that's the kind of thing that grant writing comes in handy. And so I'll be doing a bunch of that. That's part of my job of being creative with the single goal of doing the best overall job for everybody. My customers, making sure that they have lots of interesting things to choose from that maybe aren't really common. And then also that they can afford the thing, and that we're doing good quality work of the basic stuff that we're doing. We're there to clean, and we do a really good job, just like they used to do when they were physically able to do it, and that they can afford it too, that it's not priced out of it's not. I've seen some pretty ridiculous prices, and I got told by somebody when I was originally when I did my business plan, when I was originally figuring my what I'd have to make and stuff with it, I went to some people that already did it in different ways. The market's really actually kind of lame, and they were charging just crazy amounts, and I was thinking to myself, if I wanted to pay for that, how in the hell would I do that, And first I realized there's a lot of people out there who have a lot more money than I do, and then I realized there was also a position in the market that's not being filled, and that's something that's affordable, for people that are normal people, right? So the next thing is I'm having my employees are going to be, well compensated. When they first get in, the first thing they do with the company is they're going to be trained by a trainer that I've trained. Okay. That's initial in the first bit. Eventually we're going to have trainers that are trained by trainers, right? Because they'll be totally competent. They'll be totally up on it once they've done it for a while. And so everybody starts out with a basic training. Okay. By the time they get to their first job with another person, they're at a cleaning job, they already know what to do. They already know how to do it. They've been pre-trained. It's no throwing people to the dogs. Okay, so as they're cleaning, as they're working, they get promotions. On that crew of 2 people, somebody's in charge. Somebody's the more experienced person. But I anticipate, for good reason, that there's going to be growth, that more people are going to want work done. They're going to compare the people that are already doing that in the market with my company. And they're going to say, well, shit, his company's actually cheaper and they do a better job and their people seem to be happy, and then boom, we're going to get that work. It's a competition. And when we get that work, we're going to get more work and pretty soon the crews that I have, they can't do it all. So I'm going to have another crew. And so that's going to be a normal cycle of promotion, growth. So the person in charge of that crew is going to end up moving to a new crew and starting it with a new person. Then the person that was the new person on the first crew is going to now be the person in charge, and the person that comes in is recently been trained, and so now you had 1 crew, now you have 2 crews, and it's just going to continue to multiply like that. Okay, naturally, it will grow with the market. And cleaning is one of those things where that nobody's life depends on it, but at the same time, nobody wants to just totally let cleaning go. The only reason people would totally let cleaning go is if they just plain old didn't have the money and they're willing to live in squalor, But if I make it affordable, and with that being the goal, that people can afford to do it. And I get that there are tons of people out there that would like to just pay nothing, and I would too. That'd be great. But it's not a business for that. If you want to pay nothing, find somebody at church that'll do it for nothing or something like that, So I'll charge, but I'll only charge what people can afford. And the workers are going to be happier because of that. They're getting promoted, they're getting real actual training, and then they're able, when they get promoted, they're teaching too, because even though you've had your basic training and you start learning and stuff, it doesn't mean you know everything and stuff. So this person that's in charge in that group got more experience. they're going to be doing certain things and teaching you things that they've learned along the way and things that they like to see. Now, the cleaning process will be all laid out by me in writing in a system, okay? And everybody will do the system. But now while you're doing the system, like this happens, then this happens, then this happens, that's the system. But while you're doing the system, there's certain things that you can do that maximizes your time, and that more experienced person is going to teach that less experienced person. So you're checking a bunch of boxes of what people think of what's a good job. Okay, a good job is something that one, you have good enough training for. You're never feeling like you're being thrown to the dogs. It's a job that you can feel good about doing. The people that you're working for, they need your help. They're not, people that only rich people can afford it, and it's not people that don't care about anything. You know what I'm saying? So they can feel proud about what they're doing because they're helping real actual people and doing it in not raking them over the coals. Even though they're not taking the money from the person, they can tell this is actually a really good, because some of them even cleaned before for other places and they know what other people are charging, and we're not charging that much. And so the idea is they can feel proud about what they're doing. Then they're making enough money and they're getting benefits and everything. They can tell other people with their heads held high what they're doing. When people ask them at a party, hey, what do you do? I'm just like, well, I'm a cleaner for Sunshine Home Cleaners, and or I'm a crew boss for Sunshine Home Cleaners. Whatever it is they can say, and it can be legit because the person doing that cleaning makes the same amount of money the person that's managing a store downtown. All right, well that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. And so, and there will be other incentives too. The other thing is the longer they stay, the more pleasant they become. We'll have a really strong HR program, meaning that if there are complaints, like say the new person on the crew does not like how the person that's more experienced is talking to them, the first thing they're going to do is call somebody that I have set up just for that. And when the person gets the call, they investigate in a way that's not going to throw that person that just complained under the bus, right? And if the person that is training them is going through a life problem or who knows what, and they're taking it out on their their fellow worker, that's not appropriate. It's not okay. It's not going to stand. And so then that person gets a chance to be first talked to. Hey, I want you to stop doing that. And if we have to, we'll move you to a different crew, but that's not going to happen. And the person doing the HR thing, they're not just checking a box. People aren't a number to them. They're going to know those people, and they're going to improve everybody. They're going to train people up. If suddenly somebody gets into this, Adolf Hitler style, leadership thing, we're like, hey man, that ain't going to work. Okay, you can't be the crew boss anymore. You're going to have to be the lowest person on the totem pole somewhere else, or maybe just out. If they can't be trained up and if they can't be corrected in the friendliest possible way, in the most professional possible way, then they just don't need to be there, and there will be people that are just have that job, of making sure of that and not being crazy themselves, for that matter. Lots of people bring attitudes and their personal life to work and stuff like that. And my theory is if you want to bring your personal life to work, it better be the good part of you, right? Leave the other part in the car and go pick them up after work if you want to or whatever. But that's up to you, because there's no room for people being mean and unprofessional at a company I'm involved with. And so that's the whole point. The whole point is the longer people stay there, the happier they are, the better job they do. And that's always monitored by, their boss, who is a manager. And I mean, at first it's going to be me, monitoring, and I'm going to have an HR person, which my wife is an HR person in professionally, and all these kinds of things. And so we're gonna monitor everybody, and we're gonna train people up, and we're gonna keep people right. And if they can't get trained up, if they've got the wrong attitude or whatever, we're gonna cycle them out, that kind of thing. And the bottom line is your company runs the way you are. If you're a normal, nice person, it's going to be a normal, nice company. If you're an upset, angry person, it's not going to be a good company. If you're a I don't care kind of person, you might as well not open a business. you know, that kind of thing. If you're a worker and a thinker, and you like to treat other people good, and you wish you were being treated good all the time, the golden rule then applies. Treat everybody the way you'd want to be treated. Treat everybody the way you'd want your mom treated, you know, that kind of thing. And you've already nailed down the secrets of business right there. Okay, so I've got lots more to say. I've been doing work on this for years and years and years. And, you know, like I say, I just got done with college for 6 years in business administration. So I've got lots more to teach. I told everybody something, and I don't know who is still on this call, but I'm going to show you. I promised. If you're still here, I'm going to show you a picture. You see that? It's a picture of my wife's butthole. You might recognize him a little bit. Yeah, that was me. I am officially her butthole. I know. Awesome. Okay, guys. I love you guys. Don't give up. Hit like and subscribe. You know, the likes basically tells YouTube if I'm doing a good job, and if this is the right kind of video for you. Basically, they're trying to figure out who to send what to, and when you hit like, that means that you found something you were looking for. And so subscribe. All that does, don't pay money. Just subscribe so that you're in my group, you know, so that I see you and you see me, kind of thing. And comment, by the way. I love people when they comment. They help me change what I'm doing and improve, and hit that little bell, and you know, turn it to all, kind of thing. That way, whenever a new video pops up, boom, you get an alert about it. And when you jump on YouTube, there'll be something there about it or whatever. So the idea is you always get to see something interesting, and I'm going to try to make them more and more interesting as I go. And I have a wealth of information on business administration and opening a business and running a successful business, because I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned everything. I've remembered everything from those things, and I took notes, you know, and I still review them. When you get your first customer, and I don't care if you've gone to college for 6 years for this job. When you get your first customer, you're going to learn more than 10 classes or 10 books about business can teach you. Your first customer, because you got to pay attention to your mistakes just as much as you pay attention to your successes. And making mistakes here's what I tell you. Mistakes are so valuable. The product WD-40, the oil that you spray the can, the reason it's called WD-40 is because 39 times they fucked up. And it was the 40th time that made it to be WD-40, which is an amazing product. So learn from your mistakes, do a good job, and help people. That's all I want to do, is help people. So anyway, I love you guys. Have a great day, and don't give up on yourselves.